Good morning, muses. I have been told before that I made a great therapist, and I have no problem with therapists, even though I ghosted everyone I ever saw. And some of them, we said, oh, this might be the last session, but generally I just felt like, I got everything I needed from that person. That's because more than anything else, I identify with myself as a lifelong learner. I am a teacher in whatever space I go to. Sometimes as a therapist, I think what made me good at it was just that I can fill up the space if the person has nothing to say. And that comes from being a musical theater person, being a talker, being someone who verbally processes things. And so now that I have the luxury of taking a little bit of unemployment and doing some side gigs, I want to offer to the people in my life some of the best questions, which can be writing prompts, but also just things to muse on. So I am offering kind of a question of the week in the space of Monday Morning Muse on Substack, but also trying to put out more full-on podcast conversations in other spaces as well. Wherever you go in terms of social media or just life in general, we tend to be oversaturated with inputs. The age of information is an age of overconsumption, but we've had that problem as humans all along. So I won't get into too much philosophizing about how maybe if something is too much or it's irking you, it's something you can withdraw from. The Switchfoot song that goes, if we're adding to the noise, turn off this song, is something that comes to my mind often, especially when I see someone comment on something that I've posted and their reaction seems to be filled with anger. Because we all get to have anger, and I posted something about that on YouTube recently. And I know that I've posted some things in haste that at some point I may or may not take out of different accounts. That has often come from a place of big emotion that needs an outlet. And if sometimes I post something in that state, I think that makes me human more than anything else. So I don't want to be overly apologetic about it. Okay. With all of these disclaimers aside, let's get into some of the best questions ever. I spoke with an incredible young woman named Angelique, and we're going to make a long form video. We just met for the first time yesterday. And she's in a lot of spaces with healthcare providers and also immigrants and people who come from cross-cultural mashup backgrounds. She herself has an amazing story that I won't share right now, but I asked her, what is one of your favorite questions that can be asked in a space to kind of put people on the same playing ground? And she said, what brought you here? So there's a great question. What brought you here? To this moment, to this circle, to this space, to these big feelings? It's a great question. Another great question comes from my friend Andrea Coates-Vinson, one of the most poetic souls I know, who is a healer, a feeler, a singer. Thank God for Andrea. She asked the question, she always asks good questions, and I've known her to heal my bones and help me realign many times, but she recently shared a poem with me that I want to pop into. And it was something we discussed at the beginning of the COVID shutdown. She and I were in touch pretty frequently during that time because reimagining a scary situation is very helpful. And this is something she wrote. I'm not going to read the whole thing. She can do that if she wants. It was a poem called What If We Are Still in the Garden? And she's re-examining the myth of the Garden of Eden. Some people read it literally. Some people see it as one of the great creation myths. But the line that catches me here, what if we do belong because we were born and the myth is a lie. Whoa, that notion of being kicked out of the garden, there's something very powerful there that's important. I'm not saying there's not, but we're wondering about our belonging all the time, no matter where we are. Another part of this poem, what if we do belong and the limitless love is all around us? I've never met a true Christian, someone with the heart of Christ, who didn't know that the limitless love is all around us. And even if we can't feel it, it's there and we trust it. That's what it is to be a person of faith, and it's powerful. Limitless love all around us. Another wise soul I know who always asks me a good question is my friend Phil Redfield, my mentor, my wisdom mentor. And if you haven't checked out his website yet, it's williamredfield.com, I believe. And I've posted conversations with him. Oy, so amazing. Many of you are familiar with my voice coach, Caroline Kellahope. Thank God for you. And there's an old video of us, but she and I recently did just a short session. I don't remember the specific questions she asked me, but I wanted to know from her, what does it take for a voice to heal? Because I have sobbed every day for the past year, except for maybe one. I cried a little that day, but I didn't sob. And the big feelings all around me, in our culture, on our world, the grief, the gratitude, grace, grit, grime, grifting. I love alliteration, but as Caroline and I spoke about, sometimes we need to take a break. And I often think of Madonna, the musician, playing the role of Evita in Andrew Lloyd Webber's movie version of that musical. I know I talk a lot. And I think often of the part she sings. Have I said too much? There's nothing more I can think of to say to you. But all you have to do is look at me to know that every word is true. I spent much time over the past couple years talking about what it meant to me to be a bipolar bear. That's because I never accepted the diagnosis of bipolar disorder. If something in my life looks disordered, it's because I haven't finished organizing it yet. I'm a highly creative, highly adaptive person who grew up adjacent to poverty and who admired my hoarding grandparents, because in the spaces that I could find their hoards, I always found treasures. And for those who can't handle looking through weird things, I can't handle it if the smell is wrong or if there's mold involved, but finding a pogo stick when I visited as a child made me so happy. Finding a perfect little picture that needs a new frame or that wants to be examined, that brings me joy now as a grown-up. I am grown and I have more work to do. And a lot of it is sharing things I've already shared. Today, part of the work will be reading the story of my new friend, Lorraine Corso. She wrote a memoir that is partially fictionalized, I believe, and I am so excited to read it and write a review on Amazon. I have my own stories that I'm working on publishing, and I need to check in with the people who are mentioned in those stories again, just to see if any names want to be changed. So keep an eye out, because if you've been named, you're going to get another little nudge. Is it okay, or do you want to be renamed? Everything we do can take time. I believe in doing things meticulously with love and attention, and also uplifting the voices of the people around me. I want to hear the voice of my friend Bob reading aloud something beautiful from his blog post. He goes by the name Ravo on Substack, and there are so many voices that have spoken truth into my life. And sometimes we have to clear away other spaces, other voices, in order to hear our own. I've never had a problem doing that. Maybe I could have been diagnosed ADHD as a child because my mind is 1,000 places and my heart is invariably wild. But diagnosing seems silly to me if a person is adapting to their circumstance. So once again, I invite everyone to check in with themselves and to trust their own intuition. I get to talk with one of my best friends of all time, Jess Cruz Erickson. She was born Jessica Renee Feringer, or Feringer, depending on where you're pronouncing her name. If you want to hear a long conversation with her, it's somewhere in the backlog. She's a pillar of my life, one of the strongest, most loving people I know. So it's time for me to stop talking and hear what she would speak into my life this morning. She lives far, far away in Australia. Thank God for the people who know us and keep knowing us, even when the people who love us don't need to understand.